I can't believe this has happened to me. I retired because I just can't do it. I can do the games. The games are easy, and working with Susan is a lark. But I just don't have the strength and stamina. And I figured the best way to begin this, before your questions, my first day on the air, really big. Oh, was that big. To finally get a job and be able to support myself. My first day on the air was February 1st, 1960. Now, since no one in this room was born then, that's how long I've been on the air. So that's 64 years. And you know what? I'm really tired. So I'm looking forward to not being on the air, which will start tomorrow.
How do you want to be remembered?
No, I don't know. All about all this never missing a game and making all the games. I mean, my family is all here. They had to be supported. Someone had to send them to college. And so I was working, and I would do the next game and do the next game. Luckily, I had good health and good stamina. So they can remember me any way they want. I hope the people who like it will remember that they like it.
But how did you come up with the idea of...
Oh, this is good, Paul.
How did you come up with the idea of giving every player his own signature home run call?
No,
and what was your favorite?
Tyler, it wasn't meant that way. I just happened to do something for Bernie Williams. He had a home run, and I said, "Burn, baby, burn," and it kind of mushroomed from there. But it never was intended for every player because, frankly, I'm not smart enough to do something for every player. But I did the best I could. And it's amazing what started out as became so big. I'm very, very fortunate, that's all.
What was your favorite of all those individual flourishes?
Oh, I don't know. That stuff. I did say A-bomb from A-Rod when he hit a home run. And I did say Robbie Cano, don't you know? And I think those are pretty good.
In terms of the timing, you say you don't have the stamina to do it anymore. Coming into the year, did you think that you would, and then you kind of, after doing it for a couple of weeks,
I did it all wrong. I should have told. I have the greatest boss. Where is he? Where is that man? Chris Olivero, who is so kind and so nice and willing to do whatever he could for me. I should have quit on March 1st or March 15th, but I decided I'd do one exhibition game, which is useless, and as you well know, and then we went on that long trip. We went to Houston and Arizona, and boy, I knew that was it. I didn't want to work every day. Thank you, Neil. I didn't want to work every day. And I told you how long I've been working. If you work 64 years, and on your next birthday you're going to be 86, I think it's time.
What advice do you give to the next person who does your job?
Be yourself. Don't try to be. Harry Carey told me some years ago, he said, John, all the guys are great. We just have different styles. And no one has a more different style than I have. So I would say to Emilio and to Justin, they're both terrific young broadcasters. Broadcast, and then you'll find your own way. You'll find your style. So if that's advice, that's my advice.
What are you going to do now with your free time?
You know what I'm going to do? Be the hopeless person I am. I'm going to watch and listen to all the Yankee games, all the Met games, all the games on Turner and ESPN and on MLB. And, of course, as you know, at the same time, the basketball hockey playoffs are beginning. I have to watch those. I'm a very busy person.
John, just to follow up, do you think you're going to miss this a lot, or is it a relief to not have to come to the park anymore?
I'm not going to miss coming to the ballpark. I don't think so. I'm going to love watching and listening. I really am. I really know what I'm going to do, and I'm going to enjoy it. I have the best apartment I ever had across the river in Edgewater. I have a beautiful apartment, overlooks the Hudson. I love living there. And I had a fella from Sony put in screens for me, and he put in 5 screens, including 2 in my bedroom. I'm a very lazy person. I'm not going to leave. Oh, there.
Curious, what have these last few days been like since you've announced your retirement? I'm sure you've heard from a ton of people.
I've heard from a ton of people, which is really nice. I think I was fighting a little bit of a fever. I have not slept all week. Is that amazing? I mean, I've been up all night long. So I hope tonight that changes. What else did you ask?
Well, are there people that you've heard from that maybe you hadn't heard from in a long time, just called to congratulate you?
Yes, that was great. I heard from people all over the country. And today, driving to the ballpark, I heard from Joe Torre. So,
when you think back, what made you want to be on the radio? Where did that love come from for you?
Well, it began when I was a little boy. I've read a couple of articles, and I gave them the story, and it's really true. Sounds ridiculous, but it's really true. The radio was on, and the music swelled, and this guy with a great voice said, "Live from Hollywood, it's the Eddie Bracken Show." And da-da-da-da-da-da. And now Eddie and his special guest, I didn't want to be Eddie Bracken. I wanted to be the guy who said live from Hollywood. So, and I knew, now maybe a year or two later, but before puberty, I knew I was going to be on the air. And it really helped me because I didn't worry about school because I knew what I was going to do. And it was a good thing because I was a terrible student. Terrible. And I just sailed because I'm playing sports too and having great friendships. You know, I've had a very good life. And finally, after walking through a couple of colleges, I got a job on the air, and it's been 64 years.
We appreciate the fact that you were one of the first announcers that really learned how to pronounce Spanish surnames correctly. And it was so proud to hear your voice when you pronounced a Spanish name the way it should have been pronounced. And then, of course, with your, anecdotes where you made up names for them. As a result, we gave you an award for that. We brought you over to Giovanni's. You never got to finish eating, so we still have that invitation for you whenever you want it.
I want it. I had to go to this restaurant and leave, and the restaurant, it's Italian, smelled great. So arrange it. I saw your partner in crime here, back there.
Yes, Robert.
So, you know what I've told all my friends and family? We don't have to think of a day. Wait, the Yankees aren't playing that all day. Now I can do it any day. So you arrange it, and I'll come.
It'll be a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank you.
When you look out into Monument Park and you see Mel Allen and Bob Shepard are out there, is that someplace you hope to join them and hope to end up?
Well, I think if they say to you, we're going to put a plaque up in Monument Park, you wouldn't say, oh, no, don't do that. So, hey, look, anything that has happened to me now is all grist for my mill. I never, ever dreamt that I'd be recognized. And so I told my boss earlier, this might be the biggest day of my life.
Parting words to fans.
You've been so fat. I'm going to mention it later. You've been so fabulous to me. I'm a very, very fortunate individual. When he was at, about mid-career, maybe a little more, Bing Crosby wrote a book, one of those that's told to, and he called it Call Me Lucky, and that's what I think.
Growing up, which broadcasters most influenced you of all the greats who've been?
I'll answer the question, but it's not what you think, okay? I loved Mel, obviously, but he wasn't perfect, I can tell you, I'm not going to go on. I loved Russ Hodges of the Giants. He did things, some people knocked me for saying these outlandish things. Harvey Haddix beat the Giants one day, and Russ Hodges came on. They always came on screen then after the end of the game, and Russ Hodges said, well, you got to tip your Haddix to Haddix. I love that. I love that kind of stuff. But the broadcaster who influenced me most was Jim Carvelis in Baltimore. He gave me a lot of ideas about rhythm and pace and all, and I was able to use them. So I'd say Carvelis more than anyone.
What are you going to miss most about working with Susan every day?
Having Susan tell me what to do. We had a great argument. Kidding. I don't have a computer, and I don't have a smartphone. So you know how out to lunch I am, obviously. And I once told Susan, it drives me crazy. I can never tell you anything. You know everything I'm going to say. And she said, John, I talk to everyone. You don't talk to anyone. So that's close.
What is your favorite sport that you've called? And since you mentioned, I remember my first experience was with the Islanders, Islander Gold, Mike Bossy years, and you mentioned Jim Caravellas. He used to do Cosmos soccer. The second question is, have you ever done soccer, having done all the other major sports?
No, but he did.
He did, Cosmos.
He did, and I had an appearance at a big department store in Baltimore, and that was the first game that the Baltimore Bays played. And so when the thing was over, I had to do a department store. I drove to Memorial Stadium, and Carvella said to me, what did it sound like? And I said, it sounded like basketball with no bullseyes. So, but anyway, I've never done soccer. I've done the other four, and I love them all. The sport I might be closer to is basketball because I played it my whole life. But, I can't knock baseball. It's been, as the guy said, it's been very, very good to me.
What are some of your favorite moments that you've called on air with the Yankees these last 36 years?
Well, I think the most exciting year, and you can ask Susan this or Michael, was 1996. They weren't expected to do anything, and they got to first place early and stayed there for the whole year despite losing their best pitcher, David Cohn, like we've lost Garrett Cole. And so that year was jammed. I'll give you a stat. No one knows this stat, and I don't know stats, so this is amazing that I do. In 96, the Yankees played 9 games in Baltimore because they played 3 in the playoffs. They won all 9 in Baltimore. They played 6 games in Cleveland, and they won all 6 games, Jeter's first game and all. And then Atlanta was the National League champion, and the Yankees beat them 3 times in Atlanta. The Yankees were 18-0 against the next 3 best teams in baseball in their ballpark. So I guess 96. And the playoffs were unbelievable. You remember that, Michael? Oh, those great games.
So many people have listened to you, John, imagining being in the booth, watching all the things that you've seen, and you've described so many amazing moments. Can you describe what it was like being the voice of the Yankees for all those years?
Boy, when I broadcast the Braves 5 years, I was the junior member. Ernie Johnson, Skip Carey, Pete Van. I never did the end of games. Well, unless someone was sick. But then I got the Yankee job, and that was my job. I was the lead play-by-play guy, and it turned out they hired a guy who couldn't offer too much on the air, and it was thrilling. The exhibition games in my first year were thrilling. So I realized right away this is what I want, what I can do.